Gang, I've been an entrepreneur since 9th grade in high school. That's over 30 decades plus entrepreneurship. And I've been a real estate investor since 2006. And I've never had a job, no resume. I've never borrowed money from a stinky banker. I just use creativity and imagination and a lot of heart. All right, today's session is about, if you're a landlord, should you do your own evictions? Or what are the options of doing evictions? And I'm going to dive into it right now. There's 3 ways to doing an eviction, okay? If you're a small business owner or landlord. The first way to do the eviction is just you by yourself, okay? There's a lot of benefits by you doing it by yourself. You get to learn the hoops. You get to learn the ropes. You get to see how the system works. A lot of times you'll realize that the court system is based or in favor of the buyers or the renters versus the landlord. So this is a good experience to have to realize that how the system actually works, okay? Now, the other benefit of doing the evictions yourself, besides learning the ropes, is that you're able to learn the process of the legal system, and that's very important. And you get to save a lot of money, because the other 2 options, you're gonna have to fork over money. Now, some people say, Mike, if you do really good screening, you don't have to do eviction. And that's a bunch of crap, dude. Because I did amazing screening, but there's always situations that renters cannot foresee. For example, there may be a death in the family. The husband may lose his job. Their kids may get sick. They may have to get job transfers. His wife may leave him. And so there's a lot of things that can disrupt the rental payments, okay? And it's something that even good renters will experience, right? Not just for bad renters. Even if you have good renters, I had many situations where good renters lost their job or they had to relocate, and how many months can they pay? 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. After that, they'll start running out of money, right? And that's the good tenants. Bad tenants, they can't even barely afford to pay the first month. They can't afford anything behind, you know what I mean? Because they're living paycheck to paycheck. Now, going back to the story, doing the evictions yourself will teach you the ropes, will teach you how the court system works, will teach you, the process of doing the eviction, like giving the 3-day notice, filing at the county clerk's office, so on and so on. So you'll get a lot of good experience and you get to save a lot of money. The disadvantage is that, you got to deal with a lot of fear, the fear of getting in front of the judge, the fear of rebuttaling it, the fear of filing the county clerk's paperwork. So there's a lot of fear that goes with it, okay? But if you're able to overcome your fear, well, now you have learned a new skill, my friend. Now, the second option is to hire a property management. And that's the way I did it, okay? And with the property management, then the property manager will do the evictions for you. That means that you don't have to show up to the courthouse. You don't even have to be there. It saves you a lot of time and energy and stress and fear and all that good jazz. But now you're paying for someone to do that for you, that property management. And usually that property management may or may not have good skills in the eviction process. Just because they're a property management doesn't mean that they don't have fear, that they know how to, the system works and stuff like that, right? They may only done a few. Now, let me pause here and talk about, there's literally 2 things that can happen when you go to an eviction. And I would say 75% of the times, the first thing will happen. The first thing is that the renter doesn't show up. And if they don't show up, then they lose by default. So that's it. You win. You don't have to get in front of the judge. You don't have to do all this crazy stuff. You automatically win if they don't show up. 75% of them won't show up. Like if someone is not paying their rent, they're not going to show up, dude. There's not that much they can say, why didn't they pay their rent? They're breach of contract. But there's 25% that will show up, and that's where the problem becomes for you as the investor. If you go do it yourself, or if you hire a property management for them to go do it, or even if you hire an attorney, okay, which is option number 3. Now, why do I say that 25% causes a problem for all 3 levels? Well, because now there's a lot of fudge factor that can, not go in your favor. Like maybe you didn't cross the I's and dot the T's perfectly, right? And the judge will throw out the case. Maybe you waited too soon to file for the eviction. Maybe you didn't give them the 3-day notice. Maybe this, maybe. So that 25% will cause a lot of problems for you, your property management, or option 3. Now, the other disadvantage of having a property management dude is they don't really have a skin in the game. They don't care, dude. You know, like they don't care if they win or not. They're getting paid regardless. You're the one that's paying them for the eviction. You're the one that's paying for the filing. You're the one that's making the mortgage payments while your house is like not vacant, but it's not producing any income. So you're the bag holder, right? And the property manager doesn't really care. Now, sometimes, you know, this, but honestly, they don't give a rat's ass, you know, and therefore they don't have a lot of skin in the game. They're getting paid regardless. And the other reason I don't like property management going to do the eviction is because the judge will then think like you're super rich and you got property management, and if there's any little things that you didn't do 100% correctly, they're willing to just throw out the case because the judges are in the favor of the renters, especially in the counties that I was in. Okay. Now, the third option, right, is to hire an attorney, and I've used this option a few times myself. But let me give you some tips to look for. Number one, make sure that you negotiate with the attorney. Okay, like for example, the attorney charges $1,500 to do evictions, right? But you know, I tell them I have multiple houses. I'll give him multiple businesses, so he would charge me $750 per eviction, which is half price, dude. Which is amazing, dude. Right? The other thing I want to tell you is that, you know, hire an attorney that is a landlord himself, because then that attorney will kind of like sympathize with you, have empathy with you, the pain of holding the property while not receiving income. But you still got to be reliable for it, to your debt, to your mortgage company, but on the other hand, you're not receiving income. So he's going to have, like, I don't want to say he has skin in the game, but he's going to feel you more, you know what I'm saying? And you're paying more. The other thing you want to think about when you're hiring an attorney is that you got to make sure that they're close to the county clerk's office where the eviction is going to happen. For example, most of my houses were in Grand Prairie, but I had a couple of houses outside of that area, right? And, you know, and this lawyer would not go outside of those areas because he wanted to go close to where he lived. So the point of the story is, if your house is, say, in Denton County, don't hire an attorney from Dallas County, because he's going to charge you an arm and a leg. He's not going to be able to give you a good deal. If your properties are in Dallas County, then you want to find an attorney close by that courthouse. That way, if you have multiple deals, you can negotiate a deep discount like I did, where if you have multiple rentals, like, you know, instead of paying $1,500 per eviction, $750. Okay. Now, I like the attorney because he knows the ins and outs of the law, unlike the property management. They may know a little bit. But I've also seen where I paid attorneys and the renter showed up. So instead of the 75% getting default, the landlord winning, there are that 25% that show up. And I paid attorney for a renter, and the renter show up, and the renter debated, and guess what? The attorney lost. Right? So I'm like, man, what the hell, dude? So that's the thing, dude. You know, you're not guaranteed a win because you have an attorney. You're not guaranteed a win if you have a property management. You're probably better off winning if you go by yourself and can convey to the judge it's like you're just a little small guy trying to make it. You know what I mean? Because you know, and this is where it ticked me off, where I paid an attorney to do this case and we lost. And I'm like, dude, what the hell, bro? Like, this is why I didn't go with my property management. You know, I didn't have to pay him as much, you know? So the point of the story is, don't think because you get an attorney, you're going to win. There's a chance that you can lose. Like, so the renters can be in your property, not paying rent, but they can have some bona fide excuse, right? Come up with some bullshit. Be very convincing. Be a pro renter. You know, like, they know how to use the system, and they could win, bro. So this is why I've came to this decision that after many years of being a landlord, many years of doing eviction, is sometimes, man, it's better just to say pay the renter off to move the fuck out without doing the eviction. That way, because when you evict them out, they get upset. They may tear your house up. They may destroy it. They may make it extremely dirty. They may do all these fancy things in their mind, right? But you had the landlord, you're holding the bag. They didn't pay you. You had to pay for the eviction. You're paying the monthly payments to the mortgage company. And now you got to pay extra for the handyman to fix the stuff. You got to pay extra for the cleaning man to clean the shit, because there's all kinds of shit everywhere, right? So sometimes it's better to say, okay, I got to pay this attorney $750. Why don't I just, pay you $350 for you to move out? Why don't I pay for your move for you to move out? Okay, I won't evict you. I won't hurt your credit, Mr. Renter. And this is why I call it win-win. After many years of going to eviction, many lawsuits, sometimes it's better just to settle off, even if you're in the right positioning, dude. It's better just to settle off, get that stress off, get that fear off, and just go be your dreams. Go make more money. Go get more deals. Go find a renter. Because while you're combating this thing, you still got that problem in the back where the renters left the houses in the mess. You have to now rent this property out. You got to pay a realtor commission fee for leasing it out. I mean, all this Shazam, right? You got to do. Wouldn't it make a lot better to say, hey, Mr. Renter, instead of you destroying my property once I do pay for the lawyer to evict you and wait such a long time and have such a holding time because you're not moving out, because we got to wait for the judge, why don't I just give you money, you move out immediately? Why don't I just give you fucking $1,000, you get out? Why don't I just give you a free move? I won't hurt your credit and you can move out and get another place, dude, because if I go the other option, it's going to ruin your credit. It was going to help you not get a rental property. So, this is a very tough thing to say, because after many years, I had learned to just submit, dude, and be able to bend, not be so strict, because you have better, I've realized it's better luck just to pay the renter for them to move the F out versus going through all the hoops and trouble of eviction, paying for it and all that stuff. And then they have the possibility of damaging your property up, possibility of just trashing it out, taking your appliances, whatever, dude. You know what I mean? I've seen it all, right? Destroying your appliances. It's better just say, here, dude, here's some money. Get out, dude, right? I won't hurt your credit. And, it sounds like totally wrong. And as a landlord, you're in the right to evict them and all this good jazz. But man, as a small business owner or even medium business owner, I still think, man, it's just sometimes better to just pay to get the problem resolved versus pay to fight, right? Because that fighting will eat the money, eat more money, stress you out. It definitely stresses me out. Make you think about some shit you don't be thinking about, versus being your dreams and enjoying life. You know what I mean? So what I've learned is there's 3 ways to do rent evictions, right? You can do it yourself. You can have your property management do it, or you can hire an attorney. But the 4th way is the bonus I share with you guys to stay to the end, is to just pay them off, dude. Say, get out. Here's some extra money. Get out. You don't have to pay me the rent. Get out. I'll get you some moving trucks. Get out. I'll hire some movers. Depends on your situation. You know what I mean? You have a high, let's say you have a good property, but it's about to be the winter time, dude, and no one is looking for rentals at the winter. A very small percentage of people. Everyone's looking for rentals in the summertime, right? And it's about to get into that situation, right? So you're like, come on, get out. Here's some money. Get out so I can rent it out, dude. I don't want to hold this property for 3 months because I can't find someone, right? Depends where your property is. So there's so many factors that goes into the eviction process besides the 3 methods. And that's why I introduced you the 4th method, which is just pay them off, cut your ego. It's hard, dude. You got to bend even when you're not wrong. You got to kiss their feet. You got to get on your knees even if you're not wrong. But sometimes, man, it's the best thing, brother. Always remember, you're braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, smarter than you think, and twice as beautiful as you ever imagined. Peace, guys.